It's Ion Franchising, the podcast where I get to talk to some amazing people. And today I have an absolutely amazing franchisee with Taste Buds Kitchen. So there's a little bit of education, a little bit of culinary entertainment, and I have Ann Wiard, an amazing franchisee from Rhode Island.
Up next,
we do corporates and date nights, and most of the time they're very fun, kind of romantic. We've had proposals here even. But we have had some spicy times too.
Spending quality time and learning about cooking and things like that seems to be a big win-win.
And there's no point in owning a business that you can't be proud of and that you can't be excited to go to work every day.
Welcome to the show, Ann.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I am so happy to have you. Now, I want to just announce to everybody that you make more money than your husband.
I absolutely do, and I remind him all the time.
It is great to be in business ownership. So you've been in Taste Buds Kitchen for how long now? 2019?
2019, yep.
And when's location number 2 coming?
Hopefully in January, February. We're getting close.
Exciting stuff. So you're mainly teaching kids, but you do corporate events, and you even do date nights. There's got to be a funny story about a date night or something.
Yeah, we do. We do corporates and date nights, and most of the time they're very fun, kind of romantic. We've had proposals here even, but we have had some spicy times too. We had a young couple come in, and immediately the wife left. She went to the parking lot, came back in a whole new outfit, a little risque for a normal cooking night. She announced to our host and the rest of the she just said, guess what? We're spicing up our sex life tonight, and we're going to role play. And it's like we never heard that. And, my staff is always a professional. She held her, and she goes, oh, well, thank you for letting us know, and just keep it PG, please. This is a group event. And honestly, the whole class ended up kind of getting in on it, and they all had fun, and it ended up being a really, really great night. But it was a first for us. And it was definitely, probably will be the last, but who knows?
What a way to start. So, but normally speaking, I mean, look, Taste Buds, most people don't know how to cook. And if you don't know how to cook as a kid, I'm pretty sure you're not going to know how to cook as an adult. Is that fair to say?
That is very fair to say. You can tell the kids that come in whose parents cook versus the kids that come in who parents don't cook. There's a big difference just in their knowledge of the foods that we use and the cooking process. So there's definitely a range.
Now, what is a popular thing that you're going to teach kids how to make?
Kids, of course, we do the pizza and the cupcakes. I mean, that's always, but it will always surprise how much the kids end up liking things like broccoli tots.
Wow.
Sometimes and their parents will actually say, I can't believe you got my kid to eat broccoli. But the truth is, I have a 5-year-old, so I get it. But when kids use the ingredients and make it from start to finish, then they are able to really enjoy what they're making.
So I'm assuming this broccoli top is either deep fried or covered in cheese. That's why the kids like it?
No, just baked. It is baked. It does have some cheddar cheese in it, but it really is just crushed up broccoli with some cheese, some breadcrumbs. So it's actually very healthy, and I think the fact that kids got to start from start to finish to make it is what makes them like it.
Got it. Well, your background, it just so happens you have your MBA, you were an executive director of a soup kitchen and a food pantry. So clearly you already came with this passion for either helping people, helping kids, helping families, being in the food space. Why Taste Buds Kitchen? There's 4,000 franchises. This felt comfortable?
I was actually visiting my nephew in Ohio, and he was into MasterChef Junior. That show was huge a couple years ago. I wanted to take him to a cooking class because his family side doesn't cook much. So we wanted to do it together, and I actually couldn't find anything, but I found another cooking franchise, and they only had kids classes. They didn't do family classes. So I thought, oh my gosh, this is a business. I could do this business. So I started doing research on my own, and I found several different franchises that did cooking classes, but Taste Bud Kitchen was the best fit for me.
And tell me a little bit about these families and like what is the retention like? Like once I would imagine once they started Taste Buds, it's so hard to get families to eat together, to spend quality time together. Everybody's on their devices and what have you. So this sounds like a great treat for families. I mean, look, a movie ticket, what is $20 a piece these days? And you don't really learn much when you come out of the movies. So spending quality time and learning about cooking and things like that seems to be a big win-win.
Yeah, I think sometimes the kids will come to camp just so their parents want to get them the cooking, but maybe they don't always have time to help them. So they'll come to camp and then, but they'll come back to the family class where they can do it together. And that's what's so great about it is they can send their kids to the cooking camp, so they also get the campsite of it, and where they need to. But the kids get interested in cooking, and then they come back as a family class where they spend a couple hours together just cooking, eating. We also hear that they go home and a couple weeks later they remake the recipe together at home, which is always nice. And it just gives them, especially if you're not comfortable in the kitchen, it gives you that kind of introduction, which is great.
Yeah. No, that sounds great. So when you say camps, there's after school programs, there's things at night, there's summer programs. Talk a little bit about those types of services or options.
Yes. So summer camp is probably our most popular option. We do it all throughout the summer. We start at age 4, so as young as 4 years old will come in and actually cook with us. And then we go up to advanced teen, which goes up to 17. And then we also do after school classes, which we call it Let's Make Dinner. So they'll actually come here for 2 hours after school, make their dinner from start to finish, and then they'll eat what they make, which is really great because then they can duplicate that at home the following week for the rest of their family. So if we make something like spaghetti and meatballs, they can go home next week and make spaghetti and meatballs for their family, which is really great.
You get me hungry. So you're in your kitchen right now.
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And talk about what that investment is to build out a Taste Buds kitchen.
Yeah, so luckily our square footage isn't that big. So we need about 2,000 square feet. And unlike a restaurant, which has a lot of commercial equipment, we actually don't need that. We need a commercial fridge and a commercial freezer, but our ovens are just convection ovens, but they're like tabletop, essentially, convection ovens. We have, professional KitchenAid stand mixers, but the investment is nearly as high as if you were to open a full restaurant. So I think the FTD says now about $350,000 for investment costs. I'm not clear on that, but it is much lower than you'd think for a food-based business.
Yeah, and I know, and I'll share with the audience that it can get up there because depending on the space you're taking up, see the FTD, the item 7, and we could put the current numbers in the footnotes after the episode. I'm more interested, even if it's as much as $450 these days to open one. I'm more interested in the numbers. So let's get to the show me the money section. I know the corporate location that is in the item 19 in the franchise disclosure document, and almost 2.5 million. That's phenomenal. But the reality is the average of the top 25% of locations are showing 1.1 million in sales. Now you happen to share with me, and I'm sorry to your husband about this, but Miss Breadwinner over here,
Right.
he makes great money too.
He does. He's very close. I mean, he's just shy of me. So it's definitely competition. Yeah.
But no, you told me some pretty hefty profit margins. What kind of income can you put to the bottom line? Like 30%?
Yep. So last year I made 31%, but for transparency, the average was 30%. So I know one kitchen that actually did, I think, 38% last year. So I know, I got to learn from her. But yes, the average is 30% profit margin.
Well, and that also could be on the labor side of things. She could be doing a lot of the classes herself, right?
That is exactly it. And I spoke to her about it last week. Yes. So before this year, she was doing a lot more of the in-kitchen labor. And so this year, her profit margin will be closer to the rest of us, probably 32%, because she has handed that over for her work-life balance.
So for you, profiting $200,000 a year is a good goal, right?
It's good. Yep, 200,000. I mean, I'm hoping to make a little more this year because that's what I made about last year. But yes, and then I opened the second kitchen, so I'm hoping about 400,000 once the second kitchen gets.
Yeah. No, that's great. And for those playing along at home, when it comes to investing in a business, even if it's a $500,000 to open, depending on where you are in the country, what construction costs are, and sometimes it costs more to open, but your rent is low. It just depends on where you are in the United States building these things. But even at a $500,000, if you could produce 250,000 in income a year, pretty darn good to get your money back in 2 years.
You get your money back pretty close. Yeah, I paid mine off in 2.5 years the first time.
Awesome. Well, and that's why you're going to do it over again. What was the hardest part? And what I love about you is you have this amazing energy and positive attitude. What, though, admit something to us, you struggled somewhere, I'm sure. Like, when you opened, it can't all be that easy. When you opened this first location, think back to 2019. We all know 2020 was the pandemic, but in the very beginning, before the pandemic hit, what was the hardest part for you?
Surprisingly, the pandemic was in my first year. So my 8 months after I opened, the pandemic hit, and we shut down for 3 months, which it was hard, but it wasn't as hard as people think. I mean, we bounced back very quickly. The hardest thing was the first 6 months, year, I did not have a general manager. And that was, so it comes down to now for my second location, I will start out with a general manager. Having that second person to really be kind of your support in kitchen, it is key. I was doing too much by myself. And so that's what I always tell business owners. Yes, it seems like, oh my gosh, I'm going to put all this money out for a general manager right in the beginning, but you're going to grow the business twice as fast if you have the support you need, because you can focus on the business instead of the day-to-day getting things done. So that was probably now it's easy. It's easy, good. I have a great staff, a good team. It's great. But yes, the first 6 months to a year was a little tough with that.
So if you were going to do it over again, you would have hired a general manager quicker.
Yes, I would have hired a general manager day one. And actually, that's, as a brand, that's what we recommend now as to all new kitchens, is that they hire a general manager right off the bat.
So think about, and you don't have to name names here, but think about a franchisee or two within the brand that tend to struggle. Because in every brand, I don't care what brand it is, there are franchisees that don't exactly follow the system and always want to do something their own way. Why are some people just not as successful in a franchise than others?
I think it comes down to, you're a part of a franchise. I think understanding that there are rules set up and operations set up for a reason. So it's proven system. If you go against the proven system and do your own thing, then you shouldn't have opened a franchise. I mean, not to be completely frank, and I always tell new owners, you're not going to love every decision a franchise makes, right? Like, there are going to be things, but 6 months from now, those decisions, you're probably not going to care or realize, oh, great, that is why they made the decision. I love it now. So I really think the owners that struggle in our system are the ones who just don't want to follow the system and want to do their own thing. And I will say, as a growing brand, we're actually very lucky to have very few of that. We really do all work together, and everybody really does follow the system. But the few times people haven't, it's kind of become clear why they're not doing well.
Super positive Ann coming through strong again. Jessie was on the podcast. Did you know that, the founder?
I did not. I'm gonna have to look her up. I was actually watching some of the podcasts, but I actually didn't see her, so I'll have to.
Yeah, she was on a while ago, and she was awesome, and I loved her energy as well. And that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand. As a franchise broker myself, people always ask me, how do I know? And I was like, well, you know which brand is for you as you're going through the process, and you talk to the founder, and you talk to if there's no founder, the CEO, the executive team, and it's a cultural fit. You have to feel good that you're going to be with the right people. But when did you know? How did you know if you, again, think back to 2019 before you officially selected the brand, you were all in on the food business, it sounds like, but what really, capped it off for you that you had to join?
I did look at other franchises, and I think everybody within this realm, and what got me was the management. Jessie and her team, they were positive, they were understanding, they were willing to listen to our feedback, and not all franchises are willing to listen to feedback from their owners. And it's a growing brand, and they still, to this day, listen to our feedback, take what we want into consideration. I think it's great to make a profit. That's obviously you're opening a business to make a profit. But if you're not happy and it's not a good culture, then you're not going to be happy in your day-to-day life. And there's no point in owning a business that you can't be proud of and that you can't be excited to go to work every day.
So we talked a little bit about why some people might not be successful in this franchise or any franchise, not following the system. But there's a lot of people that are checking out franchises that maybe aren't suitable for certain franchises. Who is the best type of person to, I guess, maybe think of your friends that own Taste Buds Kitchen. Mm-hmm. What are the qualities or traits that they have that make you all so successful?
I do think, although I have a great work-life balance, I think it's fantastic. I do think you need to be a driven person who's willing to put your work in the first 6 months to a year. It's not a franchise where you just open and walk away. There are franchises like that. There's quite a few popular coffee chains here in New England that you can open one up and then walk out the door and never see it again. Won't name names, but that's not this type of franchise. This franchise is one where, as an owner, you need to be involved, at least in the beginning, to get the brand going and to be into the community to make it successful.
So, Ann, what is the secret ingredient to making your classes unforgettable?
Honestly, I think it's my staff. I have a team that really is passionate about what they do, really love it, and they just bring that energy. I mean, if you look at our reviews, it's always constantly going, oh, I had a class with Chef Deb, or I had a class with Chef David. They were so wonderful. They listened. They made it approachable. You have some people say, I am a terrible cook, and my food actually was really good, better than it was at a restaurant. So I just think it's the energy my staff brings. The recipes are great too, but I do think it's just the energy and the fun. It makes cooking fun and an enjoyable time.
So there's a lot of people listening that are on the fence about what they should do to become a business owner. Do they start something on their own? Do they buy a franchise? Do they look for an acquisition? Acquisitions are a whole other mess we could talk about another time, but why didn't you just start your own? You seem so smart, Miss MBA.
Well, thank you. I am definitely an operations person more than I am the creative person. So for me, I wanted, and I'm very risk averse. I am, especially when it comes to money. So I think for me, opening a franchise, I said, okay, it's a proven system. Other people have made this work. I can take this operation, maybe improve it with my own suggestions and feedback, but I don't need to start from the beginning and figure out the little things, honestly, the color something should be, or what plates I should buy. I'm not that type of detail person. I'm the person who, I can make something work, and if something's not working, I can fix it. I can make it run. But I'm not the creative type that can see the bigger picture, I guess, and then go down to the finer detail.
Love that answer. So you've been a fabulous guest, of course, and final thoughts and words of wisdom, some advice, let's say, for listeners that are, again, on the fence. What should they do? Give them some advice on joining a franchise, perhaps.
So I say do your research. This is going to be a business that you're going to have for hopefully many years, maybe even pass it down to a family member. So find a brand and the type of business that you're going to enjoy. There's no point in getting a brand that you're not proud of, that you don't love going to work every day. And I didn't know that franchise brokers existed when I did it, so I did a lot of research on my own. right? Hiring someone, really, because I do think I would have ended up with Taste Buds Kitchen no matter what, but I think it would have saved me some time and energy if I had worked with a broker who could have weeded out some of the franchise brands that I was looking at by just giving me the facts and steering me towards what brands work. So that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and that's a great point because there's a lot of brands that I steer people away from.
Right. And there might be brands that are good for some people, but as the broker gets to know you, they're like, well, it sounds like your goals and your lifestyle might not work with this brand or that. And I just think that's, if I would open another franchise of a different type, I would go through a broker.
I'm going to redirect one last question based on that wonderful answer. When you were going through the process way back when, did you talk to a few franchisees to get that validation that this is where you belong?
Oh yeah, I think that is a crucial step, and that's even when I do validation calls for Taste Buds because I am so positive about the brand. But even with that, I tell them, talk to me, but talk to several other owners of Taste Buds. We are all wonderful and we all work really well together, but we also have different personalities. So everybody, as a franchise brand, there is still flexibility on how you run your day-to-day business and what role you play versus your general manager. So I suggest to always talk to several owners. And my perspective might be slightly different than somebody else's perspective. So if you find a brand you like, take the half an hour, talk to several different owners within the brand. You might get a perspective that's slightly different.
Ann Wiard, she makes more money than her husband, and she's with Taste Buds Kitchen. She is fabulous. Thank you for being here, my friend.
Thank you for inviting me.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.